At least 14 people were killed in Taiwan when a barrier lake collapsed after torrential rains triggered by Super Typhoon Ragasa. In the Philippines, 10 fatalities were reported. In Guangdong, China, more than 2 million residents were evacuated. Ragasa became one of the most destructive storms of the year in Asia. From its formation to its final path, the typhoon left behind casualties, widespread damage, and massive disruptions.
Bye-bye.
The tropical system formed on September 17, 2025, in the Western Pacific and quickly intensified. Along its track, it gained strength, reaching the status of a super typhoon with sustained winds exceeding 260 kilometers per hour. It crossed the Philippine Sea, moving northwest. Forecast models indicated that its route would affect northern Luzon, Taiwan, and then southern China. In the Philippines, Ragasa generated giant waves and powerful winds starting Monday. In the northeastern province of Cagayan, 7 fishermen died when their boat capsized. 5 others were reported missing. Local authorities declared a state of alert and began evacuations in coastal zones. Port facilities and maritime connections were severely disrupted. Meanwhile, Ragasa moved toward Taiwan. In the eastern part of the island, particularly in Hualien County, accumulated rainfall saturated the ground and overwhelmed natural barriers. A barrier lake collapsed, releasing a wall of water that destroyed roads and bridges. In Guangfu Township, several homes were flooded and vehicles were swept away. About 8,450 residents lived in the area. Rescue teams established contact with more than 100 people who had been isolated. Door-to-door checks were carried out among 17 remaining residents who had not been reached. Across the island, 32 people were injured. Taiwanese authorities later revised their figures and confirmed that the death toll was 14, not 17 as initially reported. Around 33 people remained missing. The new tally corrected earlier duplications in victim counts. Ragasa continued moving west-northwest. Its approach generated extreme surf in Hong Kong. Weather sirens signaled the highest alert. Along the coast, waves rose above the height of streetlamps. Seaside promenades were suddenly submerged. Coastal infrastructure experienced unusual force. In Hong Kong, the observatory issued signal number 10, the highest typhoon warning. This alert remained in place for more than 10 hours. Streets flooded, trees collapsed, roofs were torn off, and hundreds of flooding incidents were recorded. A hotel on the waterfront saw its glass doors shattered by storm surges. The lobby was flooded. No casualties were reported in that particular incident. More than 100 people were hospitalized. Schools and public services were suspended. In southern China, authorities launched massive evacuations. In Guangdong, more than 2 million people were relocated from vulnerable areas. Factories were closed, classes were suspended, and transportation halted. In cities like Zhuhai and Yangjiang, flooding was reported, trees were uprooted, and tens of thousands of homes lost electricity. In Yangjiang alone, over 10,000 trees were brought down. Entire streets were blocked by debris. The city of Yangjiang was the point of landfall. Ragasa arrived there with considerable intensity. Road crossings were destroyed. Storm surges and extreme winds were recorded. Power grids collapsed. Hotels, businesses, and homes sustained structural damage. In low-lying areas of the river delta and coastal plains, sudden flooding was reported. Severe effects were also observed in Shenzhen, Macau, and surrounding areas. In Macau, streets turned into streams. Rescue teams used inflatable boats to reach flooded neighborhoods. Power supplies were cut in low-lying districts. Some residents improvised measures to withstand the water's advance. In the greater Guangdong metropolitan area, several communities were cut off by blocked roads. During the worst phase of the typhoon, the number of evacuees reached 2 million. The Chinese government allocated tens of millions of dollars for relief and recovery. Emergency crews worked to clear roads, rebuild bridges, restore power service, and reopen intercity transportation. In outlying cities, gradual preparations for return began as the storm weakened. In Hong Kong, reopening efforts began after 36 hours of suspension. The airport resumed operations on all 3 runways, and flights restarted gradually. Flooded streets began to drain. Municipal crews removed more than 1,000 fallen trees and responded to dozens of flooding cases. Some schools reopened under moderate typhoon warnings. The storm weakened as it moved inland. By the time it reached the border region with Vietnam, it downgraded to a tropical storm and then to a tropical depression. Wind speeds decreased, but rains persisted with risks of flash floods and landslides in mountain areas. In Vietnam, authorities canceled flights and raised alerts to safeguard dams, hospitals, and road networks. In total, Ragasa caused more than 25 confirmed deaths across Taiwan, the Philippines, and China, with dozens missing and hundreds of homes damaged or destroyed. Economic losses reached billions in infrastructure, commerce, and housing. Coastal and rural communities were temporarily cut off. Authorities launched immediate reconstruction efforts and deployed humanitarian aid.